Hello, this is an instructional video on how to disassemble and reassemble a Mondial Model 196 caliber 22 starting pistol. To start, this pistol has 4 screws, one right here, one right here, and one right here, as well as one underneath the grips right here. The grips are held on by a single screw, and as you'll see, there's, like I said, one screw right here. And here is with that plate removed, the 3 screws. You'll see here is the trigger assembly, the hammer, and the spring. The first piece to remove is the trigger assembly. The first piece to remove is the trigger assembly. It just comes straight out. Let's see if I can get it. Completely lost that screw. Here it is with the trigger assembly removed. All of this is one piece as long as you keep that spring in place. And the spring that sits right here is a detachable piece. Make sure not to lose it. The next piece to remove is the trigger, which is held on by this spring. Here it is with the hammer removed. The hammer is most easily removed by cocking it back, which pushes it up from that pin where you can more easily remove it. From there, you can remove this spring, and now you have the cylinder. The cylinder is held on by a singular retaining screw, as well as a pin that must be driven out from this side, which is the gun from your angle facing to the right. The pin is 1/64 in diameter, must be as such, driven out with a 1/64 punch. Once you have the screw removed, there is a screw, a spring, and a ball bearing. The ball bearing makes sure the cylinder does not spin freely. As it is removed, it does. The cylinder pin pulls straight out, and make sure that it is installed properly with the groove facing the front of the gun, so that the pin can be placed right there. It holds it in place. Once the pin is removed, you can remove the cylinder pin, which has a notch in it, so it can fit the pin through it and locks it in place. Once that is removed, you can freely remove the cylinder. The cylinder on this gun has been dry fired way too many times, as you can tell. Every single one of the cylinders no longer will accept a blank round into it, as the die-cast cylinder has dented into the cylinder bore. So this gun no longer works. They put stops in it so you don't put 22 short rounds through it, as it also has, as you can see, if it zooms in, it has a stop through the barrel, so you also do not put 22 short through this starting pistol. The reassembly is the same as the disassembly backwards. I will still be showing you how to put it back together. First, the cylinder goes back into the gun, and then you can replace the cylinder pin. Next, you put in the cylinder pin. I will not be putting in the retaining pin, as I'm going to take this gun apart again afterwards and paint it. The cylinder holding screw order is ball bearing, spring, and then the screw. Once that is installed, the retaining screw with the ball bearing, spring, and then the screw, you can move on to putting in the spring. After the spring is replaced, you can put the hammer back in. This is more difficult than any other process in the gun. This will take a little bit of time to get right, but once it's right, you don't have to worry about it. The hammer is, like I said, one of the more difficult things to reinstall. I find it easiest to have the spring in place and offset it from the frame of the gun where it is in line with the edge of the pin, and put in the hammer at the same time with this pushing down onto the spring. Make sure the spring doesn't come up and catch your finger, but once you get it down, there's no problem, it won't come out. Once the hammer is installed, you can go on and replace the trigger assembly. With the trigger assembly installed, I find it easiest to put the top of the spring into that notch first, and then shove the bottom of the spring into the frame of the gun. Thank you for watching this very simple 2010s-esque, very jumpy video on how to take apart this pistol. It is incredibly simple. There's someone who already has a video on how to take apart a Rome RG10 pistol, which is what this particular starter pistol is based off of. I just thought it would be interesting to take this particular gun apart. They are not worth a whole lot if you find one. I got this one for $10 at a gun show, as it's not a firearm. I didn't have to show any special registration or anything. I am 18 years old, but this is not a firearm by definition, so you don't have to have a background check or anything for it. Not a lot of history for this gun. It is as simple as it comes. Like I said, it's based on a Rome RG10, which is a gun made in the 60s. It's known to be a dangerous gun as opposed to a deadly gun. I've heard it's dangerous to the user of the gun as much as it is dangerous to the person sitting on the other side of the barrel. When it came out, the RG10 was $12.50 you could get a handgun. It was one of the cheapest guns you could buy at the time, and that's why this pistol is based off of it. They just needed a very simple pistol to base a starter pistol on, as in starter pistol for a race, if that wasn't clear. Yeah, that's just about it. I hope you all have a nice day. See ya.